Come on, Johnny, sing with me. 2, 3, 4. So वक्त आए जाने क्या दिखाए
These are the men who dared to follow their heart, who dared to follow their passion and reach the stars. But it's been a journey of being lost and found, a journey of introspection and rising above the system.
End of the day, your character is defined by the number of things you do. If numbers defined excellence, then I feel very sorry for the days ahead of us.
When I started, in fact, as a photographer, I was not too sure I'll reach here. All I was sure about was that I was very passionate about photography, and whatever I'll earn, I'll be happy in that. Now the question is, happiness will come with loads of money in your bank and with a big car, or because I know many people, and I keep meeting now these people, that they are like CEOs in company and the big guys, and then they say, oh, you know what, I actually wanted to be a photographer, or I wanted to be a painter, but you know, I don't get time now. You know, look at this, they have everything with them, but they're still not happy.
They chose their passion as their profession. But today, does one have the courage to follow their heart? Do you find your ultimate joy in dancing? Or is it the art of designing fashionable clothes that keeps your creativity alive? Should a career be bound by the offerings within the corporate walls? For many, the answer would be no.
We were encouraged to do things beyond the books, and I actually pity this generation that they are burdened to get 97.5, 97.8. As my brother always says, 97 to we used to get only in the thermometer.
But during student life, you're young, restless, ambitious, and ready to take on the world with all its fierce competition.
The fun of learning, the joy of learning is definitely there, because once you move out of the college, get into the corporate world or get into any kind of work, then you realize that how good the college was, or how nice it was being to be a student. When life is so fun, you don't have to worry about anything.
And at some point in our lives, we may find ourselves at a crossroad. Confused between choosing a stable, secure profession or pursue your passion, which could turn into a pipe dream.
I love to dance, and definitely if I take out anything, and I was a classical dancer for about 14 years, so yes, passion does come out in different forms, but for me sometimes you have to take a step back when your profession and your ultimate goal comes into effect.
Reducing the gender formula of alchemy.
There are times when many of us have felt like square pegs in a round hole with the subjects that we studied or the career options that we have made.
This is the method to find the total resistance of any circuit.
You started with the middle point, and then we came to range.
But in the current education system in India, is following your heart even a choice?
In class 6th I failed, right? Nobody wanted to figure out why I failed. They said, failed. End of story, right? You're a bad student, right? You're good for nothing. That's the impression given to that guy. Nobody wants to figure out if he's not interested in physics, chemistry, maths, maybe there is something else where he is good. He can excel in that. Nobody wanted to figure that out.
A child is born with infinite potential, and then he or she is sent to school. And all that infinite creativity, we do everything possible to curb it, to, make the child a lower bandwidth person, a more tunnel vision person, etc. That's a tragedy.
Students in India are compartmentalized into streams of science, commerce and humanities right from the time they step into class 11, depending on their marks in the class 10th boards. The question is that can your 10th standard marks actually decide what your life is going to revolve around?
I think it's a little unfair that people have to decide in class 10 they're going to do commerce and arts and science. And in fact, that is why seeing a lot of science students switch back to arts, and arts students end up doing MBAs, and all that is happening now because we are forcing kids to choose too early.
In India, if you're good in science and you get good marks, then engineering or medicine is for you. If by any chance, you didn't like, let's say, certain chapter in physics and you didn't get high marks, now science is gone for you for the rest of your life. So this kind of, a straight-jacketed approach where at class 10th level, your destiny is decided, whether you're good to be in science, and science itself has hundreds of fields, from applied sciences to pure sciences to research to whatever. I think that is certainly not a way to figure out the right career. So going forward, I think if we just compare this with the liberal arts education which the West has evolved, is you don't make even a choice as late as second year of your university, which they call the sophomore.
It's a vicious cycle, with the rat race beginning as soon as the child steps foot in school.
Answer will say yes.
Southern Plateau is divided into two parts, Central Highlands and Deccan Plateau. Even Central Highlands is called Central.
But when you're bringing a north and a south together, it will attract. So life pulls you.
From facing crushing pressure in school to literally hitting the pause button on their lives, to get into a sought-after college.
And in Monopoly, the prize is always greater than money.
Where is the space to think about what you want to do when the entire education system is bent on getting you to follow the same old dreary track?
There is no one track. Everyone has their own journey in life. There is no track, and the track you follow is the one you make. You leave the track. You don't follow a track.
You go on pursuing something just because everybody else is doing it. That is what is looked upon. Oh man, you're an engineer, so that's great. So you just keep on doing that, and you get a job also. You start working, but then at some time in your life, there comes a point where you do a little bit of introspection, and you realize that hey, it's not only about working and earning thousands of dollars. There's something else which you want to do, which may be inside you and which you want to pursue because it's your passion and because it's only one life.
Bend the rules. Change the game. Make your own path. Times have indeed changed. Students now are lucky that numerous avenues have opened up for them to pursue their dreams. It eventually boils down to following what you love doing.
If you look at my own career, I had no idea. I had just 53% marks in my higher secondary, and the only subject that St. Stephen's College would give me was arts. Against my parents' wishes, I went to do arts, and from a below average student of 53.3% in science maths, I stood first in the university in my first year. So it's got a lot to do with what do you want to do, what do you love doing.
You know, what is life about? Life is all about expressing yourself. So if you're able to express yourself through joining NASA, that's okay. But if you really want to express through a poetry or a painting, I think that should be also okay. There is nothing wrong in that.
But in this era of cutthroat competition and the dilemma of choosing between the heart and the mind, most students prefer to choose the latter eventually, tagging their passion as just a hobby.
You do need to follow your heart, obviously, but a lot of mind also matters, because you can't just be making foolish decisions, obviously, just listening to your heart.
Coming up on the other side of the break, a closer look at unconventional career choices and a few ways of tackling the mind versus heart dilemma. Profession versus passion.
Everyone has their own mindsets, and for me, I think so it will always be profession. Sometimes in life you need to know that if you become something, then there's always time in life for passion.
The mind versus the heart.
I feel we should follow our heart, because at one point of time what we need is happiness and satisfaction.
The struggle and the chaos within will always be there.
People can achieve a lot in life. You don't have to be a genius to achieve a lot in life. But you have to know yourself and be willing to put in the work for it.
There's a balance between earning money, at the same time job satisfaction, at the same time getting a lot of peace of mind and enjoying your work, at the same time, you know, getting to spend time with your near and dear ones, at the same time getting a little bit of recognition, popularity. So all these things, you know, it's a balance of all these things. So if you want to change tracks, you better be sure why you're changing tracks. You better be analytical about how good you are, without, you know, actually just cheating yourself and saying that, hey, I'm actually good. It's not that way.
Wireless measurements, you can have the wireless communicator, you can have the
Choices, choices, and many more choices. But how many of us dare to exercise those choices and excel at what we do? And how many of us resign to our fate and our jobs with no light at the end of the tunnel?
So many people end up living lives of quiet desperation, unexamined lives, really, which is sad. I mean, the only commitment one has to oneself as a human being is, one, to achieve your potential, and two, to have a happy life.
Interest, aptitude and personality have to really match in order for you to excel in something. So when I say that, somebody may be passionate about singing, so he has an interest, but he may not have an aptitude for singing. He may not be able to make the cut. Similarly for any fine arts or any others, or writing. So I think, and it's not easy. It's not easy to tell yourself, oh, I'm passionate about it, but I'm not good enough. So I think it's not an easy answer to get this passion versus profession equation right.
Some manage to find their true calling and some don't. And for those who are at a crossroad, there's always a way to find out what that true calling is and channelize their energies to the right career path. Career direction and psychometric assessment facilitates students and their parents to make informed choices about their future professional path. Not only does it help students to understand their strengths and assets, but also helps them in integrating career-related information regarding what is best for them.
The psychometric test at EG throws up, insights about what are your real interests, what is your inherent capability or aptitude, and what kind of personality traits you have. And based on that, we suggest types of careers that you are likely to find most fulfilling. It's again very difficult to zero in on one particular career, because as you go along, each field has, you know, several dimensions and sub-dimensions, but it gives you a broad direction that, look, these are the kind of areas that I'm likely to succeed, and these are the areas I'm certainly not likely to succeed. So that's what we do, and I think it's been really interesting, you know, to look at the profiles of people and the impressions that they had about themselves before and after the test.
Well, the thing about the test is a very simply designed test. It's not like it's some difficult test or something. It's not a rocket science test. Very simple test, and how it helps is basically that, you know, at times you want to do something, you're interested in something, but your abilities don't match with it. So when you do a test like this, it finds you a correlation or a path between your interests and your abilities.
But even if one decides to follow their passion, the question really is that does passion pay your bills? And is that the sole reason why most of us end up taking the road well traveled?
I can tell you that passion pays your bills, because those who are passionate work on the passion. And when you work on your passion, you're likely to succeed. So, I completely disagree that passion doesn't pay. I have a very dear childhood friend who was very worried because his son was more interested in playing the guitar than anything else. And now that boy is part of a band, Advaita, and he's playing all over the place. And now the father says, thank God he did what he wanted to do. So I think passion pays if you are sure that you're going to make your passion help you succeed in life.
If you love something, you definitely work harder at it, and you become better. And it will pay your bills. You may not become a rich man, but you also have to work at it and be good at it.
Like for sisters Ela and Ibra Ibrahim, singing is their first love. But they are skeptical about turning their passion into a profession. Uncertainty of doing well and being able to make a living is stopping both of them to take the plunge.
I want to be a cardiologist. Music is just like my hobby at this time. If I do get a break in music that would be big enough for me to pursue it, then I will surely do anything in the field of music. Actually, the most important ambition of my life is to become an IIT and then an IAS officer. So if I get a break enough for me to pursue, then I'm going to choose music.
At such crossroads, it's the unconditional support from their parents is what a student is looking for most during this critical time. Parents need to understand and be okay with their children opting for unconventional career choices and allow them to write their own destiny.
If my son will come and tell me, Dad, you know what, I failed in maths, I'll probably laugh with him. You know, and if he comes and tells me that I want to play tabla all my life, I'll be okay with that, you know, because for me it is more important that he should be happy. It's just that parents are looking at Sharmaji's and Vermaji's and Malhotraji's son, and they are seeing that what they are doing, and according to that their son or daughter should do the same thing, or they should be better than them.
You have to find your own answers out here. You'll have to take the time off to do that, or convince your parents that this is the course you want to do and not what should be done. I mean, there are so many jobs that have opened up. In my days, the 3 jobs that were recommended by either be a doctor, be an engineer, or be an IAS. Now today, look at the number of jobs. Now look at the number of people who are doing so wonderfully in television, in many other fields. I mean, it's a magical age. If you don't chase your passion now, you would miss out the opportunity. We didn't have the opportunities the youngsters of today do.
Most successful people today have followed their heart and made a niche for themselves. Determination, hard work, and listening to your inner calling will open the gateways to success and recognition. Gateways to a fulfilling life and career.
My advice is, listen to your heart. focus in on something that you want to excel in. Don't get confused by so many options. Take your pick and give it a good shot. If you keep, flirting with things every 6 months, then you haven't given yourself enough of a chance. Give it ample time for you to realize, yes, I found it, or should I change it?
I think anything that helps you determine your aptitude is a welcome sign. They are not so popular yet, but I feel people often ask me that you tell me to follow my dream, follow my passion. How do I know what is my passion? So the aptitude tests help a lot in doing that. So a good aptitude test is a must.
Merge your passion with what you are good at, and you are bound to make the right career choice. On the series next week, we take you all the way to Ivy League and tell you just what it takes to get into these prestigious universities.